I'm doing my speech over different types of loans and different ways to pay them back and ways to manage debt. Many students in today's society struggle with the reality of student debt is real. Student debt plays a tremendous role in the career choice people make after high school. Many students are fortunate enough to live in a family that has enough money and wealth to pay for their college, but others are less fortunate. For the less fortunate, some students have to focus on getting student aid or start taking out loans. It's very important to know if you're one of the students that have to take out one of these loans. It's very important to know how to manage your debt and what to do and what not to do. First thing I'm going to talk about is financial aid and FAFSA. FAFSA is a government program where you go online and you and your family members, or your family members, go on there and fill out many different forms, letting them know how much money you made last year, and by FAFSA knowing how much money that you made, they decide how much aid to give you, or in other words, how much money to give you to go towards school. Another way that you get aid for school is through grants and scholarships. You get grants and scholarships by doing good in high school, like keeping your GPA up or have a high ACT score. And another way you can get grants and scholarships is like through community service and things such as. Next thing I'm going to talk about is student loans. When talking about student loans, it is very important to know the difference between subsidized loans and unsubsidized loans. Subsidized loans is when you take out a loan, but the interest on the loan doesn't start accruing until you have graduated college or until you've dropped out. Unsubsidized loans is when the interest starts accruing as soon as you take the loan out. It is very important when talking about loans to know that just because you're able to take out a loan don't mean you should take out a loan. Unless it's an absolute necessity, you should stay away from taking out loans, because that is what puts many students into debt. Next thing I'm going to talk about is what not to do as a college student. As I mentioned before, you do not want to take out loans unless you absolutely have to. Many students, when they get into college, are overwhelmed with the fact that they can take out money like $3,500. As a student, you want to take out this money because there's all kinds of things that you can spend it on. But that money will have to be paid back eventually. So in order to keep your debt down, it is a good idea to not take out these loans unless you absolutely have to. Another thing that I mentioned already was to try to take out only subsidized loans. This will keep your debt down because the interest of your loans will be lower if you take subsidized loans out, because the interest doesn't start accruing until you're out of school or you have dropped out, as opposed to starting as soon as you take the loan out. One main point on what not to do is don't think you know everything. Many college students think they know everything on how to take out loans and how to manage money, but 9 times out of 10 they are wrong. It is essential to have someone with expertise in this area or experience in this area to help financially guide you and help you make financial decisions through at least your first or second years of college. Another thing you do not want to do is do not drag your classes out. If at all possible, graduate on time. The longer you're in school, the more money you will have to pay for school, which means you will be further in debt. Also, a good way to keep student debt down, or just college costs in general, is to buy used books, or do not buy new books. If you buy new books, can sometimes cost you 2 to 3 times as much as used books, or maybe even more than that, if as opposed to renting them. So it's a good idea to buy used books or rent them if possible. Another thing you want to avoid is credit cards. Many college students get credit cards, and they are often tempted to just swap the card because they have very little or no money. This is not a good habit to have, because this credit card will have to be paid back, and it will, by just swapping the card anytime you need something, you will set up a tremendous amount of debt. Things to consider when paying back your loans are work study or saving money while you're in school. When you do work study through school, you can use that money to go toward your tuition while you're in school, which will keep your tuition down, or will keep your debt from increasing. If you don't want to do work study, you could get a job and save so much of your check toward your college debt. This will help you when you get out to more quickly pay your college debt back, which leads to the next thing to consider when paying back loans is paying more than your minimum payments per month. The longer you have a loan out, the more interest it will accrue. So it is a good idea to pay back more than your minimum payment so that you can pay these loans off faster. The faster you get them paid off, the less you have to pay. Another thing to consider is consolidating your loans. If you have to take out loans from different people, sometimes you can forget to pay bills, which will charge you late fees and hurt your credit. It is a good idea to consolidate your loans because you only have one payment, considering loans, to pay back a month. In conclusion, students have many different factors that can put them in a deep hole of student debt. It is critical to know what to do and what not to do when considering financial decisions. With the right knowledge of how to keep debt at a minimum, college students can get an education without having a lifetime supply of bills to go along with the education.